Sit back, relax. Try to maintain your composure. You are about to become connected.
Ready, set, go.
Okay, so welcome to the Connect podcast, the first podcast of the Connect, which me and Sean and Tessa have decided to undertake as a side project to life.
Hopefully it'll take over our life one day.
Yeah, hopefully. That's what we're looking for. So basically the fundamentals of what we want to do with the Connect is that just basically talk about, issues around the world, socially conscious issues which should really be talked about a bit more, because after you do a little bit of research with certain things happening, from wars to climate change to the list goes on and on.
Shit like that, right?
Yeah, shit like that. Then you sort of have to come to the conclusion that we're living in a pretty fragile operating system, and the people in power
Aren't doing the best job.
they're not doing the best job, and whether that's a combination of what made them like that from the word go, where they always in the position, were they born into a situation where they thought that the best way to rule the earth was through environmental destruction or through waging war and just, basically death and destruction and keeping the human race in this monkey brain, we got to fight each other to survive paradox, which, really I think is a dinosaur way of looking at things. And really we have to, now that we've got the beautiful power of nuclear weapons, we really probably have to get past the fact of, fighting each other for resources, money, power.
So we think
dominance.
we're at a bit of a point where we need to start waking up a little bit and doing something about it. And we think that the reason a lot of these problems happening now is because of people being disconnected with their environment and with each other, and not being aware of what's going on around them, and therefore unable to take accountability or make changes for the better because they don't have anything to do with it and don't fully understand what's actually going on. So that our purpose is to connect people by raising their awareness of different things in their environment, so that they have much more of a better chance of making good decisions in their life, ones that they can they believe are ethical or actually go towards a future that they're interested in, rather than just living in the system as it is, which really
that's right.
isn't good
And
enough.
I think the major, there's a couple of points there. One, the word disconnect. That's the reason why we're calling the podcast the Connect, because the disconnect, the phrase disconnect is massive, and like the disconnect comes through advertising companies, public relation industries. It's sort of like the Adam and Eve scenario where you can have the apple, but if you take a bite out of it, then you're fucked, because the situation is that we've got all this information in front of us, but once you take the bite out of the apple, for interest's sake, once you look at the internet for too long and you actually start looking at relevant shit and not fucking the Kardashians or something, then you take a bite out of it and then you're like, oh, we're fucked. You know what I mean? Like, because it gets to the point. But then you look at the TV and because there's invested interest through media companies saying you can watch this and you can't watch this, then it's sort of like the information overload which we have now reached has made us dumb, but also on another point, it has also made us extremely smart, which is which is the disconnect of what we're facing at the moment. You can remain dumb or you can become smart.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people don't want to tackle any problems now because it's just too big and there is so much going on. As soon as you do something,
they're just too comfortable.
You feel the moral responsibility to firstly do something about it, change your life, or there's just the problems are just too global and too big.
Well,
but I think that one of the main ways that things are becoming disconnected is because not that technology is a bad thing at all, but like the huge scale which we do things at the moment, the way we produce things, the way we go shopping, or how things are done, whatever, is so big that from the start till the end of the product line is such a massive distance between it that you don't fully understand what's involved in your lifestyle and how it came about, and so people aren't able to
disconnect.
Yeah.
I
think that's where the majority of the disconnect is, and then obviously, like you said, the media don't provide a very good way to correctly.
Well, I mean, there's, like I said before, there's these invested interests which come into play. So when you've got something like, I don't know, I forgot the figures, but there's thousands and thousands, tens of thousands radio stations, whatever, TV stations, newspapers, all owned by 3 companies all over the world. So, like I say,
that is
if there is a fucking conspiracy theory out there, then that's the biggest one of all, because there are 3 corporations conspiring together, okay, or not even together, but conspiring individually to...
Get rid of the word conspiring. You don't even need to say that.
They're not even. It's a fact.
There are 3 corporations that own every single media
tell me
outlet.
your reality. Unless you're willing to dig holes deep into the internet, and then look at like when you. This day and age, I mean, for people who want to know the truth about stuff, I think it's even too hard to comprehend. You have to join the dots with a lot of things. People need to know the truth. You look at a news story, you have to look at who owns the news company. After you look at who owns the news company, you have to look at why are they writing about that, what invested truth. RT will be everything bad against West. Al Jazeera, everything bad against West. CNN, everything good about the Democrats. Fox News, everything good about Republicans. To the point where the Fox News has just recently, 2 days ago, had two of their frontline. No, Fox.
It wasn't Fox.
Had their 2, frontline.
No, it wasn't Fox News. It was a different radio station.
No, it wasn't a radio station. It was
TV.
Station.
It wasn't Fox though. I read the article.
Was it?
No, it was something else. But anyway, it was in Maine or something. It was like one of the main TV anchors in Maine.
Was it
state in the US?
NBC?
I don't know. Something.
Anyway,
it was a big enough. Whatever, who cares?
It was a big. One of the main reporters. Two of the main reporters.
This is the time when we have our computer in front of us that we can Google it.
Yeah. Can you? Yeah, that would be a positive thing. But anyway, we'll get to the bottom of it because we don't want to be speaking shit. Basically, they reported. They quit because they were sick of basically reporting on propaganda. They openly said, this is ridiculous, you're way too one-sided and we can't work, we don't want to be associated with your company anymore. So, you really, if you want to know the truth about really anything in the world, you have to have a wide array of news agencies, and look, I haven't even touched on, for anyone listening in Australia, I haven't even touched on
I think we will
channel
find
7, 9 and 10. And it's just ludicrous. Some of that stuff is like there's a fucking cat up a tree and the fireman had a bad time getting it down. That is the disconnect that we're talking about. But a lot of people don't like hearing about anything else apart from what happens in Australia.
ABC 7 was the
ABC 7. Thank you, Tessa.
Anyway, I think that we're going to find that we're going to be talking a lot about stuff in the US because not because it's the most important thing, and obviously we want to get involved in Australian issues and global issues, but because it's almost like the US is like the case study of what's going on all around the world. So you've got all the extreme things going on there,
absolutely,
and it's a very good example to look at. If you just look at the US, you'll have a good idea of what's going on in the rest of the world, and obviously because they have so much influence over us.
The other thing is it's true. It's interesting. Like, I mean, myself and Tessa just got back from a trip in the US, and it's sort of like everything the US is strange, you know. It's got so much good about it. Yeah, it's got so much bad. Now, I thought I'd go over and I thought all the food would be good. Yeah, I thought it'd be like, you know, I love that like sort of novelty sort of junk food.
You did love it.
It didn't taste that good, but like there was some fucking burger places that were out. I forgot what was it called. Carl Jr.'s. They got some good fucking burgers. They boiled like the meat. Like in
New York?
No. This is in LA. I don't know, big chain. You know, they had some good burgers. Every burger I had there tasted good. And Macca's, they do the burgers. Like if you see the picture of the burgers on the fucking on the top of the register, that looks like it. You know, in Australia, they look like
they've been squashed.
Like pieces of shit wrapped in fucking recycled paper or something. Like it's gross, and they don't even get the fucking sauce right. Last time I had a Big Mac, which is against my fucking beliefs now, but I had a Big Mac and
Big
the
Mac's
fucking
against your
sauce.
beliefs.
Yeah, the sauce was fucking shit. The burger was put together. The lettuce was everywhere. I'm like, fuck this. I'm not. It's just But that was in Australia. But anyway, and I didn't really get into the food. So if you don't get into the food in America, then you fucking, you're already
There's not much else left.
Oh, yeah, good point. But no, that long room, yard house, and
yard house in Long Beach, that was the best. The food was awesome, and it was
compared to the Australian dollar, the money it's pretty cheap.
It's fucking cheap. And because we're riding high at the moment, the Aussies.
We're riding high.
We're just doing just fine out of here.
Yeah, I know, yeah. And that's actually and now that you bring that up, I think I was going somewhere with something. But now that you bring that up, I was until you rudely cut me off. But that's it. Over here, you've got how many, like, you could bring up, Spain, Greece, Portugal, fucking, look, the list goes on and on. Pakistan, like Egypt's just going through their next revolution, like the third. I think they're on the third now. The president's like, that's it now. Like, if the others, they got the other two dictators out. Now they've got another one in, and he's like just formally made himself. I've just got all the rights in the world to do anything I want, and it's for your own good. So they're just occupying their main square again, and just getting tear gas to fuck and. Like,
the reason is because the president just passed a law just in case folks don't know. That because the Egypt president, the new one, which they all elected in after that huge revolution that they had, they're all like, well, let's, they thought they were finally got somewhere. They elected the president, and then little they know that this revolutions. This president now just recently made a law, I don't know, whatever, passed something that says that he will never have to be accountable for anything he does in the high court or whatever, legally anyway, so that nothing he does is ever going to be scrutinised.
Yeah, that's right.
So that gives him dictatorship.
But then you've got that, while we're in that region, then you've got, obviously the Israel and Palestine thing, that old chestnut just, over there doing a few things, And then you got Italy, austerity, we're
25% of people in Spain are unemployed.
25%. And literally, I think about 50% of that are youth or something. You know what I mean? Like, you got these things happening all over the world, and it's sort of like, that's why, like, we can sit here happily and go, well, Australia's still killing it. Like, I mean, it's not like we've hit a recession. We've done the opposite. We're still flying, and are we going to hit a recession? But a lot of people say we're going to, but when and what? I don't know. I think that just the mining sector's too big. We just got so much to give everyone.
Well, by then, I think if that happens, then there'll be so much different about the world that the recessions will no longer be a relevant word in terms of our well-being and our welfare. But yes, Australia is in a good spot.
So that's that disconnect.
That's why Sean and I feel the need to do this, because we're so lucky where we are, and we've travelled the world and we've seen. Obviously we haven't yet seen the worst. We will, hopefully, soon. But we've seen some pretty bad things, and we read about stuff, and we just think that things can be better, and we want to help as much as we can. We've got a pretty base here, and we...
Well, a lot of people ridicule you for sort of going, wow, it's a bit rich coming from you in Australia talking about this sort of stuff. And it's sort of like, well, if I've got the time, the spare money in the bank, I live in a nice place, and I've got the information and energy to be able to talk about this sort of stuff and bring it up.
How dare you not do it? How dare you not care about your fellow human beings who aren't as fortunate?
The people who don't think like that are sort of the people who are more. They're more sort of. interested